I'm not a Nazi.
I'm not putting that in the episode.
Brian wants to do a podcast.
Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to Friend Dog Studios. This is Brian Wants to Do a Podcast, the podcast where we're still trying to figure out what kind of podcast we want to do. I'm Ben.
That's Ben.
And that's Brian.
And I'm Brian.
And we have a new idea to float by your thinky organs.
It's chink down, inject it into your bloodstream, and let it do a magic school bus all through your innards.
If you feel like you didn't sign up for that, stop this podcast right now. But if you're cool, keep listening.
Continuing to listen to this podcast is the best we can do in terms of enthusiastic consent on your part. So if this, I mean, the only thing we can do is tell you to stop it if you don't want it to happen.
We're really in the weeds on this metaphor.
I like to be in the weeds on metaphors. Worst case scenario, you walk around in nature for a little while. Best case scenario, you find some cool shit in the weeds.
Metaphorically.
Yeah, metaphorically.
Yeah, you might find a good metaphor in the weeds.
When I'm in the weeds, that's already a metaphor. So if I find another one, it's a meta-metaphor.
Yeah. And if I do like a sort of analysis of the various metaphors that I've encountered within metaphors, that's a metaphor.
Yeah, but you have to ask yourself, what's a metaphor?
Well, I've never met a metaphor that I didn't like before.
Hey, that's pretty good. Do you want to hear the idea that we can do today?
I do want to hear the idea, Brian. What's the concept this time?
We actually got a suggestion from David Spencer, who is one of the hosts of the of Fahogo Pod.
Which we were recently on. We'll tell you more about that in the Patreon break.
David says, here's a podcast idea for you, a Movies by Minute podcast about Memento. I didn't know what that meant. Movies by Minute is a podcast format where people watch the movie a minute at a time, and every episode is about 1 minute of the film.
Yes.
About Memento. If you're unfamiliar with he just says right there, if you're unfamiliar with the format, but with Memento, we got to be weird. One or both hosts should have never seen the movie. Right here.
That's Brian.
And instead of covering the minutes in order, you pick a random minute of the movie for each episode, and the first-time watcher tries to piece together the plot, then do season 2 with Primer, which is just that's cruel. So Memento I haven't seen, but I have seen Primer, and Primer was a mind fuck. So you haven't seen Memento? No, I know it's about. Is that the one? The guy he always wakes up and he doesn't know stuff so much, or is that the one that's backwards?
It's both. The premise is there's a man who is trying to find his wife's murderer, but he has no ability to make new memories. So he's on a hunt to find his wife's murderer, but every day he has to rely on like the clues and the information that he has left for himself.
Gotcha. So it's like The Fugitive meets Mr. Magoo.
I think Mr. Magoo's thing was that he couldn't see very well.
Oh, yeah.
But also,
I've never seen Mr. Magoo either, so I don't know.
But no, the genius...
I can't see Mr. Magoo. It's
no,
crazy.
And he can't see you.
I can't. I keep running
well,
into...
and Mr. Magoo rules are that if he can't see you, you can't see him, and he can't see anybody, which is why nobody has watched Mr. Magoo in so long. In Memento, the story is told backwards, with scenes happening in reverse chronological order, so that you are sort of like the character in that you don't have the memories of the things that have come before this moment.
He's
either.
Trying to figure out what happened at the beginning anyway.
It's really quite a brilliant film. This is one of Christopher Nolan's first movies. It would be hilarious to have you watch it out of the order that it's already out of.
I'm trying to imagine breaking down a movie a minute at a time. I mean, some of these movies are, 17, 18 minutes long, and that's...
Have you been watching films that you believe to be 18 minutes long?
That's roughly how long it is before I fall asleep.
That is kind of true. You do fall asleep when you watch movies.
Have you ever wondered how memory works?
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes I wonder how memory works. And a couple working theories. One is that there's a little librarian inside of your head, and you look, and there's like a big warehouse, a la the end of the Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Raiders of the Last Ark, which it's different. The warehouse is bigger. Basically, the only shot for shot, exact same movie, filmed 2 years later. But George Lucas was like, God, that warehouse needs to be bigger. And he said it's the Crusaders of the Last Ark because he was like, I'm not going to do this again. This warehouse is big enough. God damn it. So you got a big warehouse like that, and there's a little librarian man. He's like got nose glasses where they fall down on his nose, and so it can help him smell better. And then And so when something happens, he goes, oh, you got to write it down, and he goes and files it away somewhere. And then when it's time to go get something, he's like, yes, I'll have to use the UE decimal system, because it's like the decimal system, but it's U. So it's like the UE decimal system. I thought that was pretty clever, but I don't think that's really happening in your brain. I think that part is the clever thing I made up. So that's one possibility.
It's a possibility. I mean, there's sort of an infinite regress problem there, because if there's a little librarian man in your head, then what's happening in his head that allows him to think?
Exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing.
It's
He's got
just
a little
librarians all the way down?
No, it stops after 3. Stops after 3 little librarians.
And then that last one actually just has a functioning brain with neurons and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Ben, I saw you reading a book the other day that it was about the brain and about memory, and I was curious what that was, but I didn't ask you because
there were a few theories put forth in this book called Memory and You, How Did You Get In Here? That's the subtitle. Memory and You, How Did You Get In Here?
Who is the you referred to in the...
Well, that's what it says at the bottom. Instead of listing an author, it says, "I don't recognize you."
The title of the cover of the book. I mean, I remember this, of course, but I just want to make sure I'm getting it right.
Yeah,
because my memory is failing me. But
of course,
it's Memory and You. How did you get in here? I don't recognize you. And then it goes on for some time, right?
Yeah. So the rest of the book is talking about the various hypotheses about how memories are formed, how they are stored. One idea that goes back to the ancient Greeks is that there's a small god inside your body named Memento.
Yeah. I think I remember that.
And Memento basically just wiggles around your ears as he observes things that are happening around you. And then every now and then he'll kind of give your ear a nudge with his elbow, which is why your ear itches a little bit. And you remember this sort of goes,
Hey, you remember this? Hey, you remember this? You remember this guy? Look at his facial structure, would you? Showing his teeth, but in a friendly way. You remember this?
What? It was born out of the butt cheek of Zeus. Is that right?
Yeah, right out of one of the pores of his butt.
Yeah.
He didn't pour out of his butt, but he came out of a pore in the butt. He didn't pour out of the pore, he came out of the pore. But he didn't came out of his dick like cum does. He came out of a pore like cum don't.
Yeah. So how long is a minute?
About 60 seconds.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, one first and then 59 seconds.
It's one second and then the other 59?
No, I'm saying that you have to have a first before you can have a second. Do you agree with this, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, first comes before second as far as I can tell.
So you get one first, and then there's 59 seconds, and that makes a minute.
Oh, okay. So first is in first place, and then the other 59 seconds all tied for second?
I don't see what's so confusing about this, Brian. I'm talking about basic time.
How does time decide which minute, second, hour, whatever goes first?
Time doesn't decide.
It doesn't? You decide.
I decide when a minute starts, like this. Now. Whole new minute started. You could start a minute from that minute. I could decide that a 5-second interval starts right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can start time anywhere you want.
I can split time into a before and after at will. People make a big deal about the fact that Jesus did that. Like, he
divided time into...
He divided time into before him and after him, and that's how we all like talk about it.
I thought you were talking about the miracle he performed when he went up on the mountain, and there were all these people who were just like, I'm so busy, I don't have enough time. Someone came up to him, and they were just like, sorry, I've only got a minute to talk. And he's like, nope, look at this. And then he gave everybody all these minutes, and it turned out he was able to split the time into a lot.
You're thinking of the climax of the film Doctor Strange. Which I understand. I get that mixed up with the holy text with which I was raised quite often as well.
It's just the experience is so similar because in one of them you're watching a bunch of flickering images on a screen with lots of computer generated graphics. And the other one, you're sitting and reading a book and sort of weeping quietly in your soul that God doesn't seem to be telling you anything. Easy to get those mixed up.
Yeah. I mean, I was sitting and weeping in my soul that I wasn't getting anything out of it when I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp as well.
Yeah.
To be fair, There was really no pressure from my family to enjoy Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's probably the difference.
Yeah, I mean, Ant-Man and the Wasp doesn't have like a 1,000-year history of being the spoken word of the all-seeing, all-believing. How does Fight Club go? I'm sorry.
The all-singing, all-dancing crap of the world.
That's right. I like that crap is used there. When is it the right idea to downgrade a swear?
When I was a kid and we would be watching TV or a movie or anything else.
Kids be watching.
Yeah.
They do that.
Anytime someone would swear, my dad would grab the remote and immediately turn the volume all the way down.
Yeah.
And the thing about that was the swear had already happened.
Every swear is immediately followed by a series of 10 other swears.
That must have been his philosophy, because the end result was we all heard the word we weren't supposed to already, and then we missed the next 4 sentences of dialogue because the volume was down.
And you know, the other thing that's great that does is it cements the word in your brain permanently.
It really marks it. It puts a red flag, like, pay a lot of attention to this one.
Yeah.
Not these others. This one. Learn all you can about this. There's a real air of mystique around it.
As a kid, you start to learn these words, and it's like, these are the secret words about which others know not. And it's like, what are you gonna? You're a kid. You're a born scientist trying to figure stuff out. So most swear words refer to like bodily functions and sexy time, and poopy and pee pee and stuff like that. But the context in which they are used is like everything else.
Yeah, it's a garnish.
Yeah. So why is that? I'm not going to ask you why bad words are bad. I know you don't have an answer for me. Hold on just real quick. I'm going to call my linguist friend.
Okay. I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, do that.
Hello?
Yes. Hi. Hey, this is Brian.
Oh, Brian, the one Brian I know.
Yeah, it's just me, the one Brian. Look, I'm doing the podcast with Ben, and Ben's in the bathroom.
Oh, that guy sucks.
Does he?
Why doesn't he wear a shirt?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Sometimes he doesn't wear a shirt. It's hot. It's hot, and
He's never looked worse, and he's never been more comfortable walking around shirtless. What's that?
well, some would say that that there's nothing more attractive on a person than confidence.
It's like he's given up. God damn.
I can't really speak to that. I have a question about words. Why are bad words bad? Why are there some words that are sort of prohibited? And then also, why are there certain words that like are? Because then what? Tell me.
What a well-formed question. Curse words are called curse words because they'll curse you. If you use them in just the right way, they can cause a real magic curse to fall upon a person. And swear words are called swear words because once you say them, you've made a promise to God. And if you don't keep it, he's going to spank you good.
So it is really about divine retribution in
It's
either
an
case.
entirely utilitarian philosophy. You say these words in the wrong ways, and actual very bad things will truly happen.
What's the ratio of word to curse or spank? So like, if I say 10 words, is that like...
No, you idiot. It's about using them in the exact right or wrong context. If you say the words in the wrong context, then you're going to get spanked or put a curse on somebody.
Gotcha. So if I'm like, hey, will you pass the salt fuck?
Oh, no, I can't be on the phone with you. I'm going to be the one that has the curse upon me.
Oh,
I don't have room in my apartment for all the frogs you have just brought upon my home.
Well, think about how much you could sell all those frogs for.
God damn it, they're eating my flies. Those are my flies. I wanted them here.
When you just said, God damn
I
it.
used it correctly. I am a linguist. You shouldn't be irresponsibly throwing around these words like you're some hoity-toity, higgledy-piggledy word guy knower.
Didn't shit mean to do
No,
anything.
now there's a bunch of big old cats coming in to eat the frogs I had just grown attached to after the loss of all my flies.
Did the frogs eat all the flies that quickly?
There's a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a hole in the bottom of the sea. There's a hole. There's a hole.
I think I might hang up.
There's a hole in the bottom of
Let's go to Patreon. Are you enjoying this podcast? Cool. You think that makes you special?
Amazing. Good for you.
If you are enjoying it, though, thank you. We appreciate that. If you want to support us financially, just throw us a couple of bucks worth of tips. Help us do what we do, because believe it or not, doing the kinds of things we do does cost money and does take a good amount of time. You can go to patreon.com/frienddog.
There's other ways you can help us out by just kind of spreading the word online. If you get on iTunes or other stuff, you can rate and review us.
Not all of you use Apple iTunes, but here are a few of the reviews from that particular platform from Gusser with an exclamation point. Gusser! Gusser, you get in here. Your chair's getting cold. 5 stars. Gusser, just fantastic. I'm all in for the Bible podcast. Another 5-star review from Mr. Hardcastle.
Mr. Hardcastle.
Brian should do a podcast. Brian and Ben are funny guys. Not weird funny, good funny. Well, a little weird funny, but that's good funny. These are some top-notch podcasts. Thank you, Mr. Hardcastle.
Like, that's just such a nice thing, but I love hearing it in that voice. I feel like that's what we should do. If you leave us a review.
If you leave us a review, it doesn't need to be 5 stars. If you leave us a review that we think is thoughtful or interesting, and basically anything that's not just spam. Here's a 5-star review from someone named Mattastic82. You're Mattastic.
Just always like super duper great. Yeah, I was out bouldering last week, and
when I can't get out, I'll hit the Peloton, but there's nothing like bouldering. Too blessed to be stressed.
yeah, there we go.
Mattastic82. Reviews are good is the title. Podcasts are good. Reviews on podcasts are good. Good reviews for good podcasts are good for those good podcasts. This is a good podcast about the discussion of the desire to make a good podcast. The goodness of that desired podcast is to be determined. 5 good stars. That's a very Mattastic thing to say. There's one more from someone named Salamander Sam.
I think Salamander Sam sounds a little bit like this. I mean, he's a good guy. And he said, but he always somehow sounds mean.
Yeah, well, he's kind of
So
reptilian.
very funny. These weirdos are so obnoxiously sharp. I do not even know how their brains work so fast. I highly recommend this podcast if you like to do that laughing thing, because I'm pretty sure you will.
So the words that Salamander Sam has said have made me want to be friends with them. Your impression of him has made me want to hide under a rock and then hide him under a larger rock.
What do you think happens if you put Mementos in Coke?
If you put just memories of days of old into a Diet Coke,
Like a little time capsule.
I think that the items that you take out will be badly eroded when you reopen it.
Depends on what you put in there.
I guess. What kind of memento do you think could withstand the fizzy goodness of a Coca-Cola?
Well, if you put a diamond in there, or perhaps a small rolled up piece of paper that is protected by a ward or a spell of some kind,
yeah, if you said the right curse words
yeah,
to protect it.
yeah. What are some curse words that protect things? That's a whole other.
Fuck bunker. That's a protective swear word. That's a protective curse word, right? Because like it's a bunker.
Yeah,
that's
it's a bunker.
inherently
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
protective. That's the explicit non-radio version of the B-52's Love Shack.
Oh,
It's a fuck bunker. It's a bunker in my yard where I fuck. I swear I'm not up to anything bad. It's a fuck bunker.
I've got a bunch of swings and tables. The duct tape rack is over there in my fuck bunker. You can find yourself a bowl of condoms and put it on your head. Don't do anything normal. Vanilla sex is explicitly prohibited. Get in the fuck bunker and do something weird. Fuck bunker.
If there's one thing this episode has, it's too much consistency.
Yeah, we gotta throw a left turn in there somewhere, or else we're gonna go around in circles.
That's what they say in boxing. You got to hit your opponent with a left turn. Get in a car in the boxing ring. They're never going to see it coming. Run them over. The ref might not like it, but the ref isn't what the name is of the guy at a boxing ring. So what's he doing there?
Yeah, it's not called boxing refs. If you keep throwing right hand punches, you're just going to go around in circles and end up right back at the Wendy's drive-thru.
When Merriweather boxed Lewis or whatever their names were.
Yeah. And when Abraham Lincoln had a boxing match with, who was that guy? Abraham Lincoln had a big debate. Was it Stephen A. Douglas? Something like that. It doesn't matter.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
I'm an American, so I don't know my own history.
Yeah. We wouldn't expect you to. Americans get a pass on American history. All you have to do is learn the superhero comic book version where the Justice League of slave-owning men comes together, forms a big band of founding... Well, they were just called the founding men at the time, but then gradually as they aged, they sort of all had kids, start calling them the founding fathers.
Well, I think what it was actually is that Benjamin Franklin kept wanting to call them the founding daddies because he was, he was a bit of a man about town.
He sure was.
And everybody else was like, no, we're just going to call ourselves the founders. And eventually he made such a stink about it and he kept lording it over them that he knew how to make electricity kites that they were like, all right, we will compromise. We'll be the founding fathers.
That was the great compromise, actually, that brought the country together.
It's much like the 3/5 compromise, which was when everyone agreed to give Benjamin Franklin 3/5 of alcohol so he would shut up.
Look, here's some bottles of whiskey.
I made electricity kites.
Sure, Ben, could you just put your name on the piece of paper?
Not until we rename Vermont.
What do you want to rename Vermont?
I say we rename Vermont Fuck Bunker. Or Bonk City.
No.
That's my final offer.
No. Ben, we respect you. We love you. We need
I made a stove.
Yeah. Yes, we know.
How's your hot meal that's hot inside your house?
We had ways to cook things before. Okay? You did not
ways.
single-handed... What was that? What, do you want to repeat what you just said?
No.
Benjamin Franklin, the man from Fucktown, has the floor.
I just wanted people to notice me.
Ben, people notice you.
I'm going to go invent the internet.
Okay.
Not tell anybody about it.
All right, can we just have your vote before you go?
Jefferson, give me some pages out of your torn up Bible. I need to cry into them. See, to get that joke, which isn't really a joke, you have to understand that Jefferson...
It was just a reference, yeah.
He had a Bible that he basically tore out. He basically tore all of the supernatural parts out of his Bible. It was like, this is my Bible.
Yeah. What does that leave?
Not a whole lot.
So Memento, how did he lose his memory? I guess we find that out maybe later.
Yeah, I don't even want to spoil it for you because Brian, I know you are not quick to consume media.
I do. I want to see that movie.
Now, if we do that,
He said doo-doo.
ding, 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 ding,
Now
ding,
we
ding,
have to
ding,
do
ding,
the
ding,
doo-doo
ding,
song. Singing the doo-doo song. Now we have to do the doo-doo song. Singing the doo-doo song.
That's it. That's the entire song.
It's nice. Yeah, it's nice it doesn't take up very much time because you know how much time doo-doo takes.
This has been a very musical episode.
It sure has.
I would say we could call it Memento Minute. Keeping it on your mementos.
I really like Mementos and Diet Coke. And what we could do is every single episode we drink Diet Coke.
Yeah, I mean, I drink Diet Coke a lot of the episodes that we record already. So
You know what I think about this idea is that I want to like plug it into The Sims or something. Like I want a simulation of it because I'm so fascinated by what it would be that I just want it to happen. But I'm also like, I'm not ready to commit to a 90 episode podcast about a movie I haven't seen.
Oh, that's a question. Let's look up how
many episodes we'd get out of it.
How long is the film Memento? I think it's about 2 hours. It is 2 hours. Okay, so I mean, that's not long for a movie.
It would be really fun to get like corkboard, some string, and just try to like figure it out over the course. Can you imagine over the course of 3 years trying to figure out this movie just from bits that you'd seen?
Oh my God.
It's insane.
Well, and then you'd have to remain ever vigilant because if it gained any kind of an audience, there would be people probably bombarding you with spoilers just for the fun of it.
Yeah, it would
because
be
there's one fairly large twist in the story, and people would probably bombard you with that. It would be really hard to get away
We'd
from
have to
that.
change my name. Like, we could never let people know.
Hey, let's do pros and cons.
Okay.
Cones and prawns, what's going on? The cones are pros and prawns are cons. It's cones and prawns.
Some of the harmonies there did not work out.
Step
so
by
good.
step, day by day, we get closer to God's ever-loving light on
The
that song.
journey of $1 million baby begins.
With a Clint Eastwood.
I guess I don't know anything about that film either.
I've never actually seen that one. It's just something I'm sort of culturally aware of. Let's talk cones and prawns.
I think Clint sounds like a curse to me.
It is. Have you seen his face lately?
No.
Do you remember when he went to the Republican National Convention and he talked
Tried to
an
elect a chair president. Clint, you. All right, cones and prawns.
one cone, and even though we're using my rules, I'm still getting confused.
Ice cream cones are good.
Yes.
And-
Cones in your eyes are good. Prawns are weird or gross fish things. General cone, lots of material, lots of fodder for many, many short episodes that would be pretty easy to produce.
Yeah. I mean, I think that one of my ice cream cones is that it's one of those ideas that just you hear the pitch and you're like, oh my God, that sounds insane. And you kind of want to listen to it. I think.
Right.
I mean,
The question is, does it have the staying power to keep you listening?
well, there's no way to know unless you do it.
That's true.
Unfortunately, this is one we can't seem to tease out in our head because it's all based on content that we don't have in front of us. And if we did have it in front of us, it would ruin the possibility of doing it in the future.
That's right.
That's called a
Ketchup in the rye,
ketchup in the.
which is my favorite poor person sandwich. When I was broke in college, I would just take some rye bread, put some ketchup on it, call it a ketchup in the rye, and then I would sulk, and I would just, get real moody.
Yeah, whenever I don't have anything to eat and I want to ketchup on the rye, I just call it for delivery with my phony. Look, we don't negotiate with puns
But
here.
then they put you on Holden.
Oh my God! Look out there. There's a scarecrow out there. And
God damn
there's
it,
a whole
Brian.
bunch of ravens or crows or something.
Uh-huh.
And
It's a what, Brian? Go ahead.
it's like some kind of coffee.
Caulfield,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you better be. I'm not acknowledging that. Scale of 1 to 10, Brian. 1 being can't do this podcast, won't do this podcast. 10 being this is the next big idea. It's going to make us rich. Where does this sit for you?
Oh, it's a 5 for me. It would be so much higher, but it's just that I don't know anything. There's so much that I don't personally know, and even you who's seen the movie, there's a lot you don't know about.
There's a lot I don't know about how this would play out for sure.
Yeah. What about you?
Scale.
Scale of 10 to 1, 10 being because it's backwards because of Mementos and Diet Coke.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm going to say like a 3. I'm not super enthused on
But the 3 would be like a 7 because it's 10 to 1.
Okay, then I'm going to put this at a 7, but on the Memento scale where it's backwards.
Yes, okay. I have to flip mine. So before it was a 5 going 1 to 10. So now going 10 to 1, my new number is a 5.
Well, there we have it. Will we do that? I don't know. Maybe we'll do something else. What might that be? To find out, tune into the next episode of Brian Wants to Do a Podcast.
That cliffhanger's so good. I can't wait. Stay horny, everybody.
I was just about to stop recording. He got it in just under the line.
I got it in just under the line.
And he's editing this one.
Everybody visit the fuck bunker.
I'm stopping
Universe
this
with the
recording
girls.
now.
Brian wants to do a podcast.
If you can't get enough of Brian and I, you should check out the podcast Come On Fwahogwa Pods. It is a podcast that is examining every single cartoon on homestarrunner.com, a property that Brian and I are both huge fans of that has been enormously formative for both of us. We had a great time recording a couple episodes with the hosts of that show. It is very difficult to spell, so if you want a link to it, just check out the description of this podcast. Bye-bye!